Hello, I'm Pedro Mêda and I'm presenting together with Diego Calvetti this research work that we call Human Data Interaction in Censored Sites, Challenges of the Craft Workforce Dimension. Human data interaction is found to be a game changer, given the ongoing developments and the growing capture, production and disclosure of data for multiple purposes. These can cut across several economic activities, and the same data can have multiple purposes as health condition, ability to perform tasks, evaluation of safety issues, among many others. EC3 has been exploring this topic since July 19, 2019, when the Human Data Interaction Committee was created. The HDI Committee focus on HDI target to several aspects of the construction industry and the identification of boundaries and same data for different potential uses. As part of the committee, we have been looking to human data interaction in censored construction sites, considering as starting point the main resources of a construction site in present times and that will be maintained in the near future despite new potential balances. These are the products, the equipments, and the workers. This research work follows others and focuses specifically in construction workers, assumed as workers 4.0 in an essential part of a 4.0 site environment. The research aims to deliver detailed HDI models focusing on craft workforce data through on-site electronic performance monitoring and employers' management systems that must be GDPR compliant. Qualitative research and semi-structured interviews were the chosen methodology supporting the development and the outcomes. It is relevant to highlight that despite a small number of interviewees, there was a concern on capturing perceptions from different profiles, more or less related to what we can consider field action, even in the sector boundaries as legal and from different countries, as the local laws and traditions can be relevant regarding the use of sensors, performing EPM, and GDPR law implementation. This provided the background and the iterative process required to develop the concepts that we'll present in detail on the next slides. This figure presents the HDI use case diagram, where a full view of HDI into the craft workforce dimension on censored construction sites is summarized. Gaining the shape of a behavioral diagram, it identifies the data interactions between the construction company's main actors, the craft workers and the employers, grouping several factors to relate to each one of them. And it worth to highlight that there are common aspects such as the sensing technologies. There are features that are more related to the workers, the human factors that are also related to the workers, the performance aspects that are most related to the employers, as well as the systems and methodologies to support the electronic monitoring performance that are also a concern from the employers. The craft workers and the employers can group also several factors that relate to each one of them and that are shared by them. GDPR, that is the core that we here see, is one of them, as well as the sensing technologies that we already mentioned and that are on the bottom of this figure. This use case diagram is found to be essential to explain the features, the data involved, and the commitments that must be agreed between both actors. It should be used as an awareness tool for awareness actions, either to workers, to employers, or both together. It can be also applicable, as mentioned, in other fields of activity, with more or less adaptations. I will now hand over to Diego that will explain the HDI information process.
Pedro. Now I will introduce you that HDI information process that is targeting the workforce management. And we will start, of course, that with the agreements, and I will talk forward a little more, but overview, we can see here that first path, that is the starting point, and after we can have that another two paths. One is target the smart contracts, and that data could be a general data or a profile data, but the second path will have the AI decision making, and for that we should have that data profiled. And of course, at the end, we will have that workforce management. The starting point should be based on agreements between the workers and the employers, and that should be, of course, GDPR compliant, and should respect the local laws. Of course, after that, we will go to on-site to implement the sensors. We have nowadays, as Pedro said, a great amount of sensors, and that will be populate in future our sites. And after that, that infrastructure needed to implement that sensor, we will start, of course, to collecting the data, and that is very important. We have a strong cryptography to store the data in the cloud or in some client database, and to after have that great amount of data, of course, we'll processing and analyze that, and then classifying that information. We have many of tools to do that, and that could be in a visual way, and could be some statistical tools. But regarding the great amount of data we will have, that will be a good idea to apply artificial intelligence, some machine learning, some hand boosted learning to provide the feedback in almost real time, and then provide some algorithms to do that. In this path, we are targeting smart contracts to place some pre-established rules, and here we can have general data or a profiled data. As an example of general data, I'd like to know how many workers I have on site, and I will be paid for that, for have 10, 20 workers, or I can pay for my work that is on site. For example, we would like to know Diego is today on site, and I work at 8 hours, and I will receive for that. And that is that concept of a general data or a profile data. And the being will be that database to store an important database to store that data. And blockchain here, that process it's connected with smart contract, but that step before it's about to achieve transparency, because each stakeholder should have access and the same piece of information, and the blockchain will play that action to share the same piece of information with all stakeholders. For by the end, we have, as I said before, that smart contract to play pre-established rules, to monitor some KPIs, to have payment. Here we're talking about artificial intelligence decision making, and this should be a profiled data, because we are talking here to a specific action for a specific person, and that could be related to recruitment, to training, to bonus, or even to some penalties for the employees. And that is very important. I move forward to each decision made for the machine should be reviewed by a human, and that is a GDPR rule, and that is very important, not just for the transparency and compliance, but also to improve the algorithms. And after that decision, we can apply some deep learning to understand that review made, and improve the algorithms. As well, here the blockchain plays an important role, that is to assure the transparency, because we should know which was the decision of the machine and which was the revision of the human, and the blockchain will share that information between all the stakeholders, and that is very important. And finally, we are targeting that two paths are targeting the workforce management, and that should be audit.
So, back to me, we are now going to address the challenges. As mentioned, the diagrams allow clarity regarding some issues, but at the same time, they systematize and rise up a complete new world of challenges that, and it is important to underline, are not exclusive from this industry. Improved awareness is seen as positive for the workers and employers, as in their daily life outside their work, they should be aware for the issues related with data ownership or profiling, among others, when they use smartphones and the internet. This should be part of the digital transformation of the construction sector framed in the Build Up Skills programs or similars. There will be always human barriers to EPM, either due to uncomfort or misconfidence. As well, the positive vision should be presented as there are solutions to provide returns to the workers from their proved added value. This relates to the profiling or not of the workers. If, if it is possible to quickly understand that through profiling there are many features that can be brought together, yet this also leads to higher GDPR compliance requirements. If profiling is an option, ethical challenges gain new force, namely to prevent design biases or misconfidence on equity across workers. All these challenges must be approached considering the required investments to be made and in how it can be returned, namely considering the required resources to capture and manage in safety this data, and as well the potential rapid wear of the sensors. Through this, we return to data ownership and to the other challenges that we already addressed. In brief, and prior to the conclusions that will be delivered again by Diego, the COVID-19 proves that accomplishments can be made quickly. However, these must also be made following equity and providing added value for all stakeholders and for the industry. Due to this, these challenges must be consciously approached.
Thank you, Pedro. Concluding, it was challenging to find specialists in this area to discuss and work with us together to conceptualize that visions. And we know this is a short sample, but this is a starting point. As all that we conceptualize here, it's a starting point, the use case. We are bringing some general knowledge to provide opportunities to use that specifically in some case studies, and as well the information process, as I presented before. Of course it's a complex scenario with different systems, and that will influence different stakeholders and different levels, and that is in our vision again a starting point to bring this to the table for we discuss this, and try to not avoid it, but try to make it with fairness and transparency. And GDPR, it's a fundamental part of this puzzle that will bring transparency and fairness for all this we are thinking, we are conceptualizing here. And that's very important. Data ownership should be vastly discussed because this is a monetary asset, and employees and employers must share that finance results, and that is very relevant to not only to have the return on the investment, but share that return, to share that profitability with the employees. And finally, we should conduct more research and try to quantify the benefits of that sensory construction sites. Of course, target the human being, the workers, and the mutual benefits between employees and employers, and should be a win-win game. And I'd like to thank you, my colleagues, Pedro Mêda, Hipólito Sousa, Miguel Gonçalves, and special thanks the expert that contribute to this work, that make this work possible, and help us to conceptualize this starting point, talking about that important issue that is HDI. Thank you.